Hey dear, Zoomsy here, and so is spring, and last month I didn't even intentionally come up with a reading theme, but I found myself gravitating towards woodsy, flowery reads, which is perfect for spring. So without further ado, let's dive into my March reading wrap-up. Okay, the first book is basically the perfect eco-horror gothic for spring, and it's Frankenstein, but with flowers and fungi, and I am talking about A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. The story centers around two eccentric Victorian bachelors who live together. Their names are Simon, who is a taxidermist, and then there's Gregor, who is a botanist. And one day, Gregor discovers this species of fungi that almost appears to be sentient and caring for his orchids. So he decides to test his theory by placing the fungi in a freshly dead human corpse, and he takes out the organs and he replaces them with corresponding plant parts from highly reactive plant species like Venus flytraps and stuff, in the hopes that he will create this living plant organism. And Simon helps stitch up the body, and together they create a botanical daughter named Chloe. However, as time goes on, Chloe starts becoming too intelligent, and strange things start happening in the greenhouse, like they discover a dead bird in Chloe's hands, and the two of them start arguing about the ethics of their creation, and the story starts exploring themes like selfhood and personhood like its predecessor Frankenstein does. And this story has some wonderfully grotesque eco-plant horror going on, so if you're like a little plant nerd like me, I think you'll really love this one. Okay, next we have a historical horror called The Woods All Black by Mandelo. The story centers around Leslie Brune, who is a trans nurse who is sent to work at a small Appalachian mining town. However, when he gets there, the townsfolk are very closed off and standoffish, and it seems like they're holding a lot of secrets. And there's also this strange presence that appears to be watching him from the woods. Okay, I was really excited to read this book because I also loved Summer Suns by the same author. However, this one I was not as much of a fan of, and it was a mixed bag for me. I feel like the story handled queer identity and religious trauma really well. It was good at exploring the character's internal arc. It's the external storyline and premise that I felt like had issues. Like, we are teased throughout the story that there's like something weird with the land and livestock are dying, but we don't really get as many answers for the whole mystery of the town. And I wanted that folk horror and backstory, and I was left unsatisfied on that end. However, I do have to applaud this book for being like all for the monster fuckers. I'll just say there's an interesting spicy scene that went all out, which I have to applaud, so kudos for that scene. Okay, next we have a Turkish folklore inspired fantasy called The Bride of Death by F.M. Aden. The story centers around Zarin, whose childhood best friend becomes possessed by the Lord of the Underworld, Erlik Khan, and the two of them come up with a deal. So if Zarin enters this tournament to win Erlik Khan's hand in marriage, he will grant her wish and free her childhood best friend. And I wanted to love this one so badly because I'm obsessed with the death and the maiden trope, and I thought it was really unique that it included Turkish folklore because I'm so used to seeing more like Greek mythology. However, the story's ending pissed me off so badly and completely undermined the story's themes for me. And for me to explain in depth, I will get into major plot spoilers here. Okay, you've been warned. So basically towards the end, Erlik Khan destroys Zarin's light powers completely, even though building up to that point, she's going through a journey of self-discovery and acceptance, and she's learning that she's had these innate light powers all her life, and she only needs to depend on herself. However, I feel like Eric Kahn completely taking away her powers and her forgiving him over like the course of a chapter, that takes away your agency. And I love a good corruption arc, but for me, it just happens way too quickly, like within pages. So yes, the ending was so rushed and angered me so much. Next, I have a short story collection actually called 50 Beasts to Break Your Heart by GennaRose, Nethercott. And this collection is so magical and darkly whimsical. It feels like a collection of original fairy tales. And my favorite story had to be the last one, which is about a goat girl who's considered a freak by all her villagers, and she owns this little cottage farm. However, there's this plum tree on the property that she's warned is magical and to never eat its fruit, or else she will become addicted to it. And yeah, you can find out how the story ends, but I do want to read an excerpt of it for you because the prose is beautiful and stunning.
"It's not the dark we're afraid of," the goat girl continued. "It's being in the darkness with eyes that were built for the light. It's not a lone ghost we're afraid of. It's the ghost appearing in the realm of the living, in the same room as our breathing bodies. We are never afraid of a thing on its own, as it is. We're afraid of something intruding in a context in which it doesn't belong. What is a monster? It's a contradiction, a creature who houses two dissonant aspects. So yes, a girl is not monstrous on her own, nor is a goat, but a goat is a goat and a girl is a girl, or so it should be. Nestle them side by side in one body, and that is where the monstrosity is born. Am I a monster? Yes, love, I am. I am a monster because I contain too much."
But yeah, I totally recommend this collection if you want something that's darkly magical and a little strange, like me. Okay, last but not least, I have a New England Gothic called Your Blood, My Bones by Kelly Andrew. The story centers around Wyatt, who, following her father's death, returns home to her family farm in rural Maine. However, when she gets there, she finds in her basement her childhood friend Peter chained up, and she discovers that Peter is semi-immortal, meaning he can die, but he resurrects right afterwards, and that her family belongs to this long line of wardens of the land who basically sacrifice Peter, harvest his bones for magic purposes as a ritual to like stave off the darkness in the woods. And she's left in this very difficult position whether she decides to continue sacrificing Peter. And Peter, on the other hand, also is considering, hey, do I kill my friend and free myself of this curse? So there's a lot of angst to this story. I got so excited there I smacked my camera. But I loved this story so much. If you're like me and you were obsessed with the Raven Boys growing up, with like the lyricism, the poetic prose, the unbreakable bonds, and the heartbreak, I think you'll love this one as well. It basically feels like you're reading a Hosier song. There's like creepy woods and star-crossed doomed love, and the story was just so compelling and everything about it was just perfect for me. It was honestly one of the best YAs that I've read in years, and I do not say that lightly. Okay, that is a wrap for the books that I've read in March, and I have a really exciting April TBR lined up. I'm for sure going to read Song of the Six Realms, which is a bard, music magic inspired Asian fantasy, which sounds and looks amazing. Like, the cover is freaking beautiful. And I also have my eyes on Someone You Can Build Your Nest In, which is basically about a monster with tentacles who falls in love with a girl who is a monster hunter, and it looks really interesting, and I just got that one from the library. Anyways, let me know what you read for the month of March and what you plan to read this month. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. See ya!